Welcome to Out of the Woodwork, the place where I show you how to build a shaker cabinet door. I'm building these doors actually for these built-ins sitting behind me, which I think will look great with a shaker style door. If you've heard flat panel, framing panel, shaker style, all those things mean basically the same style of door, and there's 1,000 different ways to build them, but I'm gonna use mainly the table saw, 1/2-inch plywood, and soft maple. So let me show you the different pieces. A shaker door is made up of 5 pieces. You got the 2 stiles, the 2 rails, and the panel. And if you have trouble remembering what are the rails and what are the stiles, use the mnemonic, the stiles go on the sides. I'm starting at the table saw and I'm gonna cut a dado on the inside edge of all 4 of these pieces. Now if you use a 1/2-inch panel like I do, you gotta be careful that your stock is thick enough that when you cut that 1/2-inch dado, the walls you leave behind are not too thin and brittle. After milling my rails and stiles, they're a strong 13/16, and this 1/2-inch panel is actually about a 32nd less than 1/2 inch. So I'm comfortable with the thickness of the walls I'm leaving behind, and I really like the more substantial 1/2-inch panel. On each end of the rail, I'll cut a tenon that's 3/8 by about 1/2 inch, or the same thickness as this panel. And then the panel and the tenons will both fit into that groove and they'll get glued up. You saw me use a chisel and a shoulder plane to dial in the fit and finish. Now it's something you don't have to do, but it's amazing the difference it makes to take just a little bit of extra time and really make it fit right. When I cut these dados, you notice that I ran the piece through and then I flipped it around and ran it through again. When you do that, you perfectly center the cut. Now in this instance, is wider than the blade, so I had a cut on this side and a cut on this side with some stock in the middle. But that stock in the middle was perfectly centered, and that's a great way to make sure that you are perfectly centered in the middle of your rails and stiles. Wood movement's really not a big deal with this project. The only thing we would have to consider is the panel itself, since it's constricted on all sides, but I used plywood, which hardly moves at all, and I still gave it a 1/16 of an inch gap on all sides, just in case it decides to expand. The rails and the stiles will move, but they're not constricted on the outside. They move across their grain, so as long as they're open on all sides on the outside, then we're fine there. You can build this as an inset door like I am, which means when it's closed, it fits inside and flush with the face frame. Or you can build it as an overlay door, which means it covers the entire opening and actually when it's closed sits on top of the face frame. Take the time to go over and break the edges like you saw me do. Now I just used a hand plane and a piece of sandpaper. You don't have to use a plane, just use sandpaper, smooth the edges over, and that goes a long way in giving this a more professional look and feel. At this point, you can finish this however you want. These are getting painted, but you can keep the natural wood color, you can stain them, and then you always want to put some kind of clear coat over the top to protect them. These doors are also going to get finished off with European style hinges and then cabinet hardware. And since for these built-ins, they're going to be lower doors below the waist, I'm going to put the handle somewhere up in the upper third. If they were upper cabinets, then I would put it somewhere in the lower third of the door. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video gives you the confidence and the motivation to go build a cabinet door of your own. If you liked it, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.